Hello, everybody. Welcome to Unbound Wisdom. And thank you guys so much for being here with me today. We are going to talk about the Akashic Records. This is a topic that is quite near and dear to my heart, and I could probably geek out on it for hours on end. But I will spare you that today because my intention is just to give a basic overview of what the records are. I've received a lot of questions lately like, what are the records? How do we know if we're actually tapped into them? What do they look like? What do they feel like when you're reading for them? What kinds of information can we get? Just basic questions that I hope to cover today. And also give a little bit of background on what my experience has been in the records. So to start with, the Akashic Records are basically an energetic database of all the experiences that our soul has had throughout all of the incarnations that we've been through since our soul's inception. This could include any emotions we've felt. This could include any interactions we've had with other people, any contracts we've had, any lessons that we've learned, any skills or abilities. We're able to find those in the records as well, and then activate them in our current lifetime. That's one of my very favorite things to help people do. Healing trauma is something that I love to help people do as well, because we're able to tap into different lifetimes, heal trauma from those lifetimes, and then integrate the pieces of ourselves back together into wholeness so that we can function at a higher level here on Earth right now. So the Akashic Records are really, their energy, and they're stored on a different dimensional level than we can see with our naked eye. And when we tap into them, it is basically like channeling a different being from a different dimension. Although it's not a sentient being or anything, it's just a different energetic frequency. But it feels as if we're channeling another being. So it could be like, if we channel an angel, or if we're speaking with our guides, or we're speaking with our ancestors, we're basically channeling in that instance. It's the same exact thing, but we're just tuned to a little bit different frequency when we're accessing the records. Now, many people are accessing the records right now, and they don't even realize it. And I know for myself, for a lot of years, I was in the records and I didn't even know it because I was experiencing past life memories. And I know I've shared this with you many times before, but it was a big part of my awakening when I started having past life memories appear in my daily life. And what I was doing without knowing was that I was tuning into that frequency, to that energetic frequency that has the records in it. And I was pulling all those memories into my daily life. Fast forward, 10 or 12 years later, when I decided to study how to access the records more officially, let's say, I learned that I had probably been doing it the whole time. I just hadn't had control over it, hadn't had control over that ability. So I didn't know how to navigate it. And as I've studied and practiced, I now have a lot deeper understanding of how to get into the records and how to navigate them so that I can retrieve the information that I need to retrieve for either my healing or for my client's healing. So in a program, if you ever look into studying the records, there are a myriad of different programs, a myriad of different teachers out there, and also prayers that you can access the records with. And the reason that we would use a prayer in an official capacity, in my opinion, is that it helps us to find that layer of the records that our soul needs to go into. So it's kind of like each prayer is a key. This is how I think of it. It's a key to a different layer of the records. And if you read through several different prayers, there's probably going to be one that really resonates with you. For myself, when I read a certain prayer by my mentor, her name's Jayu. I'll put all of her information in the box below because she's incredible. If you want to check her out, you will. Yeah, she's amazing. But her prayer, when I read it, I had head to toe goosebumps, and I knew this is the one that I'm to be studying from. And what that prayer does is it speaks to me because that is the layer of the records that's most appropriate for me to read for my own healing, for my own understanding of my life path. Different layers of the records, in my opinion, correspond to different layers of consciousness. and also correspond to where our soul is currently at in its soul evolution, in the path of evolution. So I believe that the reason that certain prayers resonate with certain people is because they're accessing that layer of the records that is the most appropriate for them at that time. Now, as I said before, many psychics access the records and don't realize it. So it could be like maybe an intuitive astrologer. They read into a chart and it's like the chart comes alive before their eyes and they're able to know that client on a deep level. Very likely they're tapping into their records to a certain degree, because they're able to know things about a client that they may not have known just by looking at a chart, right? Or maybe maybe you're an energy healer and maybe you see past lives when you're working on somebody, when you're doing energy healing on them, or even massage therapy. There are massage therapists that can have flashes of other people's lives when they're working on them. What's happening here is that you're actually tapping into the records for that person without even knowing that you're doing it. But there's vast and deep amount of psychic information that is available in the records once we're able to kind of fine tune how to access them. So energetic storage of all of the database of our experiences is in a nutshell how I describe the records. And I also describe them as being very, very deep in levels, such that a certain level might not be appropriate for everybody. And it probably is very valuable for you to feel into which level is going to be the best for you when you start to access them. How do we experience the records? This is another question that I get a lot. And it's a difficult answer because it is so different for everybody. There's not one right way to experience the records. I know when I first started to try to do it on a more cognizant level, I thought that I was going to be taken to a giant library where I'd be able to pull books off the shelf and read into them. But that isn't the case. That's not how it works for me. My primary clair happens to be clairaudience, which means that I hear the words in my mind as I'm receiving the downloads for the most part. So when I am in the records, I receive the downloaded words in my mind. If I am looking for a past life, or sometimes if I want to have a symbol or maybe an allegory, I'll ask the record, show me a picture, because that helps me to understand the information on a deeper level, sometimes even. So if I'm looking at a past life, it will appear as a movie in my mind. Or if I'm asking for symbolism or an allegory, it might just appear as a snapshotted picture. And then at that point, I'm able to decipher the information that I'm being given. So depending on what your primary clairs are and how the keepers of the records, as well as your guides, feel like you're going to be able to understand the information the easiest, that is how they're going to share it with you. So could be pictures, could be words like in your mind, like I hear them, could be just massive downloads, like a knowing. If you're claircognizant as a primary clair, you might just tap into the records and have a knowing. Now, how can we tell if we're in the records or not? This is a difficult question again. For me, it is a knowing. It is a knowing. And when I am in the records, the insights that come to me are beyond what I could know as a human, way beyond what my human mind could come up with. For me, as I get the words in my mind, they're oftentimes, bigger words, more complicated words. The language is actually quite beautiful. Sometimes they're words that I have to look up because I don't really know the meaning behind them. It's not the way that I speak in my normal day-to-day life when I receive when I receive information from the records. Also, they're like light bulb moments that happen every time I'm in the records. The information that comes to me is usually like a lightning bolt where I'm like, whoa, that's amazing. I never would have thought of that, even if I sat here with my human mind and tried to analyze every angle. Because it's a bigger picture view and it comes from the wisdom that we've incurred over every single lifetime we've ever had. So the wisdom that can come through is so much more than what my human experiences have been in this lifetime, in this body. So I always know that I'm in the records because the information that comes through is so mind blowing. I wouldn't have been able to come up with it on my own. I also have the sense of when the energy flows into my body. So when I tap into the records, I actually draw the energetic stream through my vessel and I can feel it enter my body. And it has a very distinct frequency. Interestingly, when I read the records for different people, the frequency for each person feels different. So the more you do it, especially if you're reading for other people, you will start to recognize the frequency shifts between the records when you pull them into your body. So you'll know when you're tapped in, if you're able to feel energy, you will know that you're actually in the records, because you'll feel it in your body. On that note too, I did want to mention that oftentimes when I'm reading for people, I know if they're part of a soul collective. And by that, I mean a group of souls that incarnated here at this time together with a very common shared mission, or maybe very common themes that people are working through in this incarnation, very common skills that we brought down. Whatever our soul group is up to, and what we have something that we're doing on the planet at this exact time, and we agreed to come down here and help each other work through it. So that could be a soul collective of people that you know. Maybe it's someone that's very close to you, or maybe it's someone that you've never actually met in this physical body, but you're very close on a different dimensional level. You could be part of a soul collective. And what I notice is that the information that's available to one soul in that collective is often like an umbrella information that's available to everyone in that soul collective. So it's like anything that I've learned over the many incarnations over is available for access for anyone that's in my soul group. So it's massive amount of wisdom that we can tap into. The way that I would know it's a soul group is when I'm reading for someone, I can feel it. I mean, that's how I would describe it. I can feel it in my body because I can sense that the frequency is similar to other people that I've read for. And in my experience as well, many people that are drawn to the same Akashic prayer likely are in the same soul group. So that is something you could think about too. If it's a prayer that really speaks to you, other people that feel a resonance with that same prayer, that same key, so to speak, are probably likely in your soul group. So hopefully this was helpful to you guys. I will be back one day and I will go in even deeper, a deeper dive into the Akashic records, but I just wanted to give you a little bit of an idea of what they are. And as before I close, I want to add the type of information that we can find. Like, how does this actually help us in our daily life? This is important, so I want to add it before I before I head out. The biggest things that I love to use the records for are decisions in my life. These could be small decisions or big decisions, like where do I want to send my kids next year to school, or should I quit my job and start my own business? That's a big life decision, but I find that the records love to help us out with this type of stuff. They won't tell us the exact answer for the most part, but they will give us that bigger bird's eye view and help us think about things from a perspective that we may never have been able to just using our human mind. So types of decisions like that are amazing. Relationship advice, amazing. Because the records know exactly where your soul wants to go in this lifetime. They know if you have any contracts with people that you're supposed to be meeting. They also know the patterns that you have had in the past that you don't want to repeat. So they're going to steer you in the direction that you need to go. So any relationship stuff is amazing. In addition to healing, this is one of my favorite things to use the records for. I often use it for younger self healing, and that could be inner child healing, or it could be healing past lives. So healing timelines, we can actually make shifts to the current trajectory of our life by healing past timelines, healing timelines from past lives. Love using the records for that. um any sort of triggers that we have, if we're having like an emotional reaction to something that doesn't cognitively make sense in our everyday life, we can often find the source of that in the records. So I like to use them for that. We uncover the source for the client or for myself, and once that is healed, then usually that emotional response goes away in our everyday life. Same with phobias, that's another big one. If you happen to be afraid of something for no reason that makes sense, like maybe you're really afraid of snakes, it's likely there's something that you can find in the records that are going to help you heal from that. It's likely that it's tied back to a past life. Um, Also, clearing ancestral lineages, huge, because we tend to pass down ancestral patterns, ancestral habits, um, ancestral karma from generation to generation to generation. So we can use the records to clear those paths away too. That's another huge one that really can make a difference in people's lives, just working in the records. Creative blocks, another big one. Visibility issues, like maybe you have trouble being seen. Um, Abundance blocks, another huge one that is often helped by doing some work in the records. So as you can see, there's so many different things that you can do just by accessing that energy stream. And lastly, I want to end with like some future self planning. This is one of my favorite things to do as well. And that is basically like directing ourselves towards the future that we want. So you can actually work in the records. They don't always show you what your future is going to be. In fact, I should say rarely do they show you what your future is going to be. But if you have a vision of where you want to be, you can work backwards from there in the records, and you basically build a timeline back to where you are now. So you can clear out any roadblocks that you might have along your way to getting to that future version of you. So massively amazing amount of healing that can be done in the records, as well as just help with our decision making, our everyday life path stuff that often causes a lot of suffering, right? If we can't know what the best decision is to make, sometimes we really suffer. But I do find having a practice in the records, or even having a reading here and there, if you don't feel like accessing your own, can be highly beneficial, just to clear out any blocks that might be along your way, or help you heal from any trauma that you may not even know that you have, that's holding you back. So I will end there because I promised to keep it short, but stay tuned because I'll be back to geek out a little more. Thank you so much for being here with me today, you guys. If you want a little bit of taste of what it feels like to pull the records through your body, we do in our Unbound Quantum Healing Circle, we monthly meet and we do a process where we pull the records through each person's vessel individually. So you'll have kind of a taste of what it's like to feel that energy. And if you are interested at all, you can sign up. I'll put a link below for a free session just to see what it feels like. So thank you for being here. I hope you have a wonderful day. Until next time.